Yo guys, today for the Inqalab Podcast, we have Shah Rule with us.
What's up, brother?
Hi.
How are you?
Great bro, how are you?
All well, man.
First, tell me where does the name Shah Rule come from?
Uh, my real name is Rahul Shahani. So when I started rapping when I was 13, my nickname in school was Rule because when I was living in Moscow, people couldn't pronounce Rahul.
Yeah.
You know how Rahul is supposed to be pronounced. So Rule became my nickname, and so that kind of became my rap name. And when I started taking rap more seriously, my dad, being the businessman he is, he kept reminding me, who's gonna Google Rule and find you? So, he's thinking from a Bollywood standpoint, Shah Rule is there, relate your name to that. But in my mind, I'm like, but there's Ja Rule as well, which I was a fan. I'm still a big fan of his music from, the early 2000s. And I think where I kind of found, solace in the name is both of those guys are known for doing art when it comes to love. Like Shah Rukh is the king of romance in Bollywood, and even Ja Rule, even though he was this really hard rapper, he was able to bring that pop love rap, and do those collabs with Ashanti and certain people. So I found like a good balance in between because love has always been something that I speak about in my music. So, and it's technically my name backwards, Rahul Shahani, Shah Rule. So yeah, in that way, yeah.
Like you were just mentioning about being in Moscow, right? So
Yeah.
tell me your history. Like you've been in quite a few places
Yeah.
and now like making your sound set with DHH and
Yeah.
finding your place over here. So how is it like and how come?
And just life, life took me, being a nomad, took me certain places, but because of my family and their work. But I moved to, I started rapping when I was 13 in Moscow, when I was living in Moscow, but I studied in London. So I guess London was where I kind of, I studied audio engineering. So from a mix standpoint and a production standpoint, that's where I kind of got my foundation. But just in general, like I feel London was where in boarding school I got all my influences, whether it was hearing older students in boarding school play KRS-One and Tribe Called Quest and Biggie, and just from a lyrical standpoint, learning from those guys. And then later on, really diving into Kanye's catalog, which I was always into as a kid, but really going in as a proper stan and really just enjoying his music and what he did, in both decades of the the 2000s and 2010s, and even currently what he's doing. So yeah, I think everywhere where I've lived has kind of influenced me in terms of music. And being moving to India in 2015 was when I feel I started really living life like properly. Like up until that point, I was just learning how to, I guess, communicate through music. And then when I moved here, I feel like I started reconnecting with my roots, like properly connecting, because I never lived in Mumbai or India up until then. I'd always visited, once a year, just visiting family. But, once you're living here is when you start really figuring out the city, making it your own. Yeah, and Bombay changed my life. 2015 was the right, the universe aligned, and when I moved here within a few months, I met Divine and a lot of people in the scene just by being a fan of hip hop and going to the hip hop nights, and the rest is kind of the journey. So yeah.
Yeah, so the journey you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this one thing. The first song I made you meet Manan, right?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
partner.
yeah.
So the first song we ever heard,
Yeah.
or the second one was Kaun Hai Tu.
Yeah.
We were going on a trip
Yeah.
and we just started hearing that, and that's what got us into the first few songs we heard of the hip hop
Yeah.
genre in India.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
I
one.
appreciate it.
And so from your first EP, Hope, now
Yeah.
your second one. So what do you feel has been your growth, and how do you feel the music industry has started accepting you?
The thing is, with rap in India, English has never been a forefront. Every rapper you kind of that's at the top right now at some point was rapping in English, like Divine, Krishna, all these guys. They all started with English. but and some of them still do, but Hindi is obvious. Hindi and so many other languages are the forefront because that's our country, right? And even though our country listens to a lot of American rap, it's not as acceptive, or I guess it's not been opened up properly to English rap from Indian rappers. But I'm trying to be that that voice of change and the guy to spearhead it. So I've always used hooks as a way of hooking people in, so then they're like at least they're you have their attention, and then I can give them
Yeah.
my bars in English, because I even though I grew up in an Indian household outside India, my parents used to use Hindi and Sindhi to make sure I wouldn't understand. They if they didn't want me to understand, they would speak in Sindhi, and me and my sister would be like, "What are they talking shit about us?" You know what I mean? So for me, English was always spoken at home, because and I learned Russian when I was in Moscow, and I never had Hindi as as a main language. So when I came here, I've always, whenever I've made music in Hindi, it's always me collaborating with other writers.
Yeah.
Me writing in English, and then finding a way to find that balance of translating it. And songs like Kaun Hai Tu literally just came off like, can I swear?
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like songs like Kaun Hai Tu just literally came up of, who the fuck are you? Where the fuck do you think you've come from? You know what I mean? And someone like The Evil, who was a close collaborator, coming in and just literally giving me the more, and I'm like, yo, give it to me super simple, but at the same time we need to make it like something that is powerful and stuff. And I feel like when it comes to singing, that's where I like to do Hindi, but when it comes to rapping, I express myself the best in English.
Yeah. So like throughout your discography, you've really like been into features and mostly like gotten great artists on your features, right?
Yeah.
So, and even the full album.
Yeah.
Tell me the concept, like how is it working with these artists, and how do you pick up the artists you wanna like work with?
Yeah, I think I'm a very conceptual person. My EP Hooked had like because it was us going into lockdown and being so stuck on our phones. So the EP was giving you a sense of where we were all at during that time, just stuck on our phones, and that feeling of addiction to your to the outside world via a Black Mirror. So this next album is like a follow-up of that, but sort of in a different way, where you're kind of healing from whatever has happened in the last. I think we've all been through so much in the last 4 years, starting from last 3 years, starting from COVID and the lockdown. I think in general, Hooked is an EP about addiction and like indulging in things like materialism, and Call You Right Back, I'm in Therapy is the self-realization and now holding yourself accountable, and that journey of I'm going crazy, and then I need to like find my way out of this, and then I need to step back into the light. So I look up to albums, like I always look at like the first 3 projects of an artist like defines you. Like it doesn't commercially need to like be a success like right away, but I think the story that you tell in your first 3 albums, like I have these 3 Kanye tattoos, like, which is College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. It's like the way he conceptually made these albums with the skits and the meaning behind them, and how he evolved as an artist, sound wise, is also kind of what I'm aiming to do, where like I can't just suddenly make up a story about my life. It's just whatever I'm going through at the time. Hooked was me in the lockdown, feeling all those things, and whatever was going on in my life was, I think everyone's life was just intensified because you weren't able to go express yourself outside the limits of your
You
home.
were with yourself.
You
all
were
the
just
time.
with
Yeah.
yourself. So everything was kind of like overloaded in your head.
Yeah.
And I guess therapy was definitely something that has helped me in the last 9 months.
Why the name? Like, why the name Call You Right Back?
It is what it is. I've been in therapy for the last 9 months. I went through a personal relationship breakup, which was like around 3.5 years. So dealing with that, but at the same time, I think a lot of things in my personal life in the last 4 years came to a point where I wasn't expressing myself. I was holding a lot in, and I wasn't able to vocalize that in my music. And I'm not the type of person to like go and spread my problems around to people and stuff, but I think I needed to go speak to someone. And when I finally did it, I'm a very practical person. So with the first few this is funny that I'm finally speaking about all these things, but when I finally went to therapy, at the end of every session, I would be like, okay, now tell me what to do. Like, what do I do to fix my life now? I need objectives until I see you next. Like, I would like a few things. So I would take homework from each session and set goals for myself, for certain things, career-wise, personal-wise, different areas of my life. And I'm still doing it because it's honestly just changed the way I think about things, the way I handle things. You asked about features. I look at all the features. Like, people ask me, why is there a lot of features on this album? Because one of the first thing I learned in therapy was building support systems around you. And I've always looked at music as a collaborative effort. I no matter what, like when I've made music where I'm like the Superman and producing this, that, I already do a lot. I mix, I write, I record myself. I do a lot of that. I make my videos. I do a lot of that. But I feel one thing relating back to Kanye, I love when you can be like an executive producer and say, oh my God, this person would be perfect for this part to explain this part. And I can do my job and just kill it here, but also curate a whole vision. And I'm like, okay, what's the best way to get this vision out there? Let's get the best voices on this to, complete that vision. And I think it's more fun when there's more people involved. It's more of a vibe. I enjoy making music with more people. And,
I was just going to talk about confident. Like, so how is it like working with Raga Bharg? Because the vocals of Bharg just made the song very beautiful, and then the intensity Raga brings in is like crazy, right?
Yeah.
So how was it like? Even the video was beautiful. Yeah. So how was the concept, and how was like, what did you must have enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
So how was it?
For me, like, I've been a fan of both those guys, but Bharg specifically, I finally got to work with, like, I think about a year ago, when he was in Mumbai, and I guess I was a big fan of his album with Raul, Subjay, and we just sat. He brought his guitar, but we didn't even take it out. One close collaborator was Zero Chill, sends me beats every day, and we just we're pulling up beats, and within 5-6 minutes we had like a hook. But the concept was, I don't think a lot of people know this, but that concept is, it's a love song, but it's a love song for alcohol.
Yeah.
So about a love song that that is dedicated to alcohol. Like, when I moved here, alcohol was kind of the liquid courage, the liquid support system. Yeah. The liquid courage for me to go network throughout Bombay. That someone reminded me in the comments the other day, like at the end of the video when I grabbed the mic in a club and I started rapping. I've done that in so many clubs. Like I've done that in many clubs, and waited for the DJ to go to the bathroom, go stand in the urinal next to him and be like, yo bro, let me jump for the mic. All that stuff. Like, I think today's rappers are very blessed because you have so much more opportunities. But I think back then, 2015, you had to make opportunities for yourself. I used to stand next to DJs for 2 hours, MC for them, and then get 5 minutes to perform. So like all these things like kind of are now coming out now, because I think albums are a great way to fully give your story. Singles, I think I fully enjoy the experience of making an album now, because there's so much there. There's so many.
Like a book.
It's like a book.
It's like a book,
It's like you're giving someone an experience within that 30 minutes, and with singles, there's so much you can say. And I'm not I know there are guys like Divine who are impeccable with their intros and outros, and they can just speak. I can't. For me, speaking on an intro and outro is very corny to me, and that's not to knock anyone else. Some people can just do it.
Yeah.
But for me,
it sounds beautiful.
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
But for me, I will only talk when I'm rapping or singing.
Yeah.
Or this album allowed me to do skits and kind of maneuver through those things.
Got it.
And those transitions and little things like that. These things excite me as an artist because I grew up, listening to albums like whether it was a Ready to Die, having, certain skits like that, or, all three Kanye, first Kanye albums, plus even like a Good Kid, Mad City, which literally you feel like a kid in Compton, chilling with your friends in a car. Him talking about his first crush, everything, running away from the cops. There's so much there, vivid imagery that I didn't want this album. Obviously, the therapy thing is the helm of it, but I didn't want this to be preachy in any way. Every song is about what I've been speaking at therapy, and at the same time, what I've there's a journey of, realization from the first song to the last song. And I think at the same time, I found a new sense of honesty that I wasn't able to find just on singles and doing hooks. I think me being like a Sindhi and being very business minded, I was like, let me try and become the guy for the hooks, so that I'm just on every song. I'm with every artist. I'm able to lend my voice and my talent to other people's talent, and we can make something better.
Yeah.
But I know legacy wise, I want to stamp my legacy, and I've been doing this since I was 13 years old, and I'm not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah. Like you were talking again about, before you said you started it when you were 13, right?
Yeah.
Writing.
Yeah.
So back then, and still continuing it. So how's it been, and like what made you decide then, like, that I'm gonna be doing this, and you stuck to it?
I think
Like, what was
there
it?
was
Any influences?
definitely Eminem and 50 Cent were like from the jump. Like I remember a friend bringing over, I guess it was a burned CD or like a pirated CD of In the Club, and I think the second song was Wangster. It was just two of those songs, and I remember hearing those two songs for a whole weekend, like back to back, and just being obsessed. And then seeing, I think, Eminem's Without Me video just like blew my mind. And just that entry was enough for me to be like, wow.
Like even now, if you see it, you're like,
it blows.
It looks new.
It looks new, yeah.
Like as it was, especially 50. I can do it anytime. Like
same. Like I think when it comes to hooks, I hold him in that regard as like, that is the go-to guy for hooks. Like,
yes.
I've seen every interview where he talks about his songwriting and how he'll write at least 3-4 hooks, and he'll rank them. Okay, this is the best, and then this can be like the bridge. This can be a verse. You know what I mean? So it's the same kind of process that I do, where, you write towards that way. Like I think as a rapper, writing verses should be the easiest thing for you. Like I keep writing verses as the last part. I just keep pockets open for verses. I'm like, okay, I can fill that in later when I really feel the words. But I also teach, rap courses on, I've done stuff with Front Row and planning some more stuff. But I've always taught my students, like, look at a song as the hook is your summary, and then like your verses are like the core words, that's where you go in depth. Yeah. And the ad-libs are your like narrator, who's just driving the story. Or like the intro and outro is the narration, where that's kind of like the packaging around it. But the summary is your hook, because that's going to revolve around the whole song. And then the bridge is like maybe like a middle 8 section that changes up the story, or a climax or whatever. So yeah, I'm a nerd about this. I'm really nerdy about making music, but at the same time, I just from this, I think I've been telling all my friends in the last week or so, this is the first time I'm really enjoying my own music. Like, normally I put out music and I don't want to hear it because I've worked on it so long that at that point, you're it kind of wears out on you. But putting out an album and
like just bringing in the full project together must be like giving you a different level of satisfaction.
It is 100%,
sure.
100%. Yeah.
So like on the album, you worked with various different producers like Zia Chill, Akash, then there's Stunner as well.
Stunner Beats,
So like, do you really get involved, because these are all like great producers, right? So do you like to involve yourself a lot in the production process, or like do you like let them be with themselves?
No. So normally what happens is, because I produce as well, what happens is I'll have these guys, I'll either feed them certain information, like I need these type of songs, I need this type of vibe. Like Stunna was like, bro, just give me the most Afro vibes. I went to this festival, Afro Nation, in Portugal last year, and it changed my life because, I saw Burna Boy, I saw Wizkid, I saw all these amazing artists, and it just like, I went because in the same week I saw Afro Nation and Rolling Loud. So I went to see J. Cole and ASAP and Future. But earlier in that week, I went to Afro Nation, and that just like, I enjoyed that more than Rolling Loud. And there's a different sex appeal too, and there's that, I've not been able to, I guess, find my voice when it comes to, speaking my love language on certain rap songs or like drill songs or whatever, or now I'm doing it on drill or certain songs. But with Afro, I've been able to express myself on the love side. So my first song into that was Tension, which was about 9 months ago, with Jaidir. He's a Punjabi R&B pop singer, and that was me doing Amapiano and trying that out. But then on this album, I have 2-3 songs which are in that Afro zone. So I told Stunner, like, give me that vibe. Once he gave me like a rough skeleton on that, then we added towards it. Like I got my friend Roel Benedict, who's is an established producer and guitarist. He played on songs like Bad For Me and The Cure as well. Then on top of that, songs like Lonely, Stunner was just able to give us that vibe. And I love making songs which have really deep and dark meaning, but like on the outside, on the surface level, it just sounds really happy. It sounds happy and vibey. So a song where me and another girl are saying that we're lonely in a relationship, but it's a dance song. And we can kind of find like some sort of like, you find like the silver lining in a situation.
Yeah.
It's like the people are in toxic relationships and they don't know how to get out of that loop.
Yeah.
And I really was in that loop. Like me and Shai both sat together and we're just speaking about our past relationships. And that line came up of, when I'm with you, I feel lonely, which is such a like harsh thing to hear from your partner.
Anybody, like
from anyone. But to hear it from the partner that you put a lot into, we were like, and I think if you're not expressing yourself, like fully expressing yourself on a track like that, and I think that specific song, a really deep part of my soul was like, oh, don't put it out because it's too honest and it's too but actually, you know what, that's where like people really, when it hits your soul like that and it hurts, but at the same time we're able to kind of put light to that situation. And that song is about realizing, okay, we're not meant for each other, and we kind of have to realize this and face the facts, face the music. So I think these type of songs make you grow, and maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, I'll look at it in a different way. But I think right now I'm happy that I was just able to channel that honesty.
Got it.
Yeah.
So like in the full album, which is the song you would say is the closest to you? Like
I would definitely say 3 words for sure is something that
so tell me the full studio process behind it, and how did it come along?
Yeah, so I think this album was originally supposed to have a Gemini theme. So about a year ago, I was trying to once again be too technical and too conceptual, and I was trying to make a Gemini theme where every topic had 2 sides to it. So 2 sides, my song, the intro, that was originally on that part of that album. And I wanted to speak about main topics of my life in 2 ways. So love, I had to speak in 2 ways. One more like sexual and more like kind of in a more fun way, and then one in a more serious way. So 3 words came about because I think a lot of people can relate to this, and a lot of Indian families specifically find it hard between certain members of the family to express the words "I love you." And I have that with with certain people in my life, and I think it does weigh in on you when you really, especially what we just been through with lockdown, knowing that life is so short and you want to be able to express yourself, but no matter how much you want to, it's just not able to come out in that way. And there are certain people in my life where I can scream "I love you" all the time.
Yeah.
But then there's certain people that it's just too hard. And when I spoke about this to a few people, I saw so many people right away connect to it. And I think as Indians, it's somewhere within our culture where it's a little hard to express that. And I, once again, because coming with that thought, I said, okay, I'm going to make a song, a song about love, but because I can't say those words in real life, I'm not going to say those words in the song. And I'm just going to call it 3 words. And, all the lines in that are just tiptoeing around wanting to hear those words and wanting to say those words.
Yeah, running around the bush.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, just beating around the bush.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite type of, songwriting, where you can challenge yourself and say, okay, make a love song without using the word love. Make a club song without saying, put your hands up in the air and all that stuff. It's been done like a million times. There's like 60,000 songs every day uploaded to Spotify. I guarantee you 10,000 say put your hands up in the air, So I think when you challenge yourself as a songwriter like that, it pushes your work, but it also pushes the listener's ability to digest new work.
Grasp it,
Because I think it's a song about our generation, but also our culture of, we're such a culture of, celebrating life, dancing, our movies are so vibrant, but there's so many nuances within our lives where we don't really celebrate.
Yeah.
And that connection between
the small things,
which actually go a long way.
Yes.
I say things like, those words can make you glow in all kind of ways and cost nothing compared to all designer things. It's a short sentence that could keep you in prison. Whisperers say it loud and I'ma listen. Put me out my misery and show me what I'm missing. We're all misunderstood on individual missions. Like, we're all living in a life where we're, going in different directions, but we need like reassurance, and we need to know that people around us love us and we love them, so that we're able to do this. We're able to function and also feel loved. I think every form of action, when you see someone hating online, is because they're not getting enough love in the real world. If you see someone really expressing that love online, then it's like, wow, they are being loved in the real world, and they want to express that love even more online. So I think everything is like a form of love. Even you guys doing this podcast and break and deciphers is a form of love to the culture, which we need, and at least with this song, I was able to find like a new level of honesty. And I don't think I don't think any artist sits in a studio and be like, oh, this song has got to be relatable as fuck. It was genuinely something I wanted to speak about, for someone in my life where, I have this problem. I mean, I've left that kind of hint in there in the song as well. Like, I love dropping Easter eggs and stuff for the song. Like, even with a song like Confident, it's to a basic ear, it sounds like a love song. But yeah, like, it is my truth, and obviously the video kind of gives that away,
Even the picture is with the alcohol bottle, right?
Yeah,
the cover.
exactly. So, yeah, I for me sometimes I'm like, oh, I always check, did you get it? Because everyone keeps reminding me, oh, India doesn't get English rap. No, but I think as long as
listeners do.
Yes, listeners do, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I've been reminded by everyone in my life. So, I love putting depth, to my music. I don't think music should be two-dimensional and just just be a audio experience and a visual experience with the videos. I think there should I've always labeled my sound as commercial conscious. It should make you want to dance and repeat it and kind of sing along to it and have a commercial appeal, but also consciously give you something to think about, give you something to be like, wow, there's extra thoughts in there. There's more than just, each word has double meaning to it and more layers to it.
So with 3 words, like how did
Darwin's
vocals come in, and how, like I haven't heard of him before, and they said beautiful. Like first time, like you were mentioning before, everybody thinks it's a girl.
Yeah.
So how did you discover him, and then like how do you get him?
Yeah, so he's been doing his thing in the indie scene for a while, but I think he kind of became quite popular on Instagram because he was doing a lot of covers of Ritviz's music and a lot of acoustic covers and stuff, and just his vocal tone. I think he's done covers of really like hardcore rap songs like Satya and stuff, but he's made them sound super beautiful, you know, like at the same time when I've met him through, you know, within the scene and via Ritviz, who's a close friend as well. And I remember calling him last summer when I was working on this album, the first album, the Gemini album, and I was explaining to him, you know, I have a song where I'm kind of talking about sexual innuendos and stuff, but I want this song where I want to say that I'm trying to communicate these words, but not say these words on the song. So like your only job is to talk about wanting to say these words and forget the past about what's going on with, you know, you and that person, and you want to say these words, but you can't say these words. So like kind of like a task for him, which he enjoyed. And I think within like an afternoon or something, he sent back some incredible vocals with, I'm a nerd when it comes to vocal production. That's my like kind of my favorite area of making music, vocal production, harmonies and stuff. And the melodies and harmonies he sent me were like magical. And I'm super blessed to have him on this album, and I think he has a really bright future ahead of him. And I think as an artist, he's a young guy, but he's able to lyrically do his thing and also melodically sound like a heavyweight, like a professional, you know. And that is, you know, that should be kind of influential for other artists to come in. Always look at yourself as professional. Try to push boundaries. Don't just try to copy other guys. Try to do something new always.
So since when have you been like conceptualizing the album, and since when has it been in process? How long did it take?
So last year, I guess half the album was kind of there with the whole Gemini theme, but then I think it started to turn into like a science project, and it was like I had charts and this and that and all that stuff, and I kind of said, okay, from August till December or till Jan, I'm just gonna focus on singles, and that's why I had songs like Tension and Captain Hook and a few others, and a few features as well. So I just said, okay, next 6 months I'm just gonna like build hype, just focus on singles, and whatever comes to me in the next 6 months will kind of lead the album. And in around December was when kind of my relationship ended. And when I was already starting therapy, and I guess from December till about Feb, I was, you know, in the beginning of the early stages of therapy and going through heartbreak and breakup and all that, and kind of in this limbo as well with my relationship. And I think it suddenly like hit me that one day I was just thinking about it, and the music I was making was about healing. I was trying to, I was gymming really hard and trying to like focus all my energy on just work and this like that. And I was in therapy, so I had objectives and homework, in my mind. But finally, I got to a point where I was like, wow, therapy has the word rap in it. It just hit me. I was like, you can't spell therapy without rap. And I was like, oh damn. I kind of that kind of like made me tingles. Like I was like, wow, there's something there. And I was like, you know what? I wanna do something around therapy because I can feel it change my life. And I was brainstorming with Prachi from my team, who has an agency called This. She works with GULLY GANG. She works with a lot of other artists as well. And we were just brainstorming, and we were still coming up with an idea for the album. And we kind of roughly said, what if it's something like, I'll be right back, I'm in therapy, or something like, this is just like the snapshot of my life where I'm healing and I need to go through this to go really continue my career and go into reach the heights I want to reach. I need to go through this first. So it's kind of like letting my fans know that, let me go through this. I'm going through something in my life which requires time and, care. And, but at the same time, real life situations will give an artist, substance and topics. Like I don't think it's heartbreak is something you pleasurably want to go through, but it makes for good music. And I think
long term, I would say maybe it's a longer term healing, right?
Yeah. I think in general, because a lot of this album was written during my relationship and at the same time after.
Yeah.
So you can hear both sides to it.
Yeah, like confident after, like now that the viewers will know that you made it after a breakup. Confident will even hit like more, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Even the fact that like us when we were conceptualizing the name, Prachi from my team, she was like, why don't you like do like some sort of teaser video where you're just like talking to a therapist? And I remember like that day we were just at a coffee shop. Shout out Bougie Cafe in Bandra. I think everyone goes there. And we're just sitting there, and literally within a week later, we were shooting the video. And it was just like, it was at a point where I was like, wow, I can really like just channel my ideas and bring it to life. And it felt so good in that way. So that verse I was written right like a few months after my breakup, where I was still feeling a little bitter about it, but at the same time I'm like, I need to heal from this. I need to get out of the zone and heal. So yeah, the album, I think it has a good mix of every type of feeling, acceptance and like also denial, but at the same time also trying to heal, trying to dig deep and be like, wait, where's the real problem? Like 3 Words is a song where it's like, okay, we all need love. And maybe that's where I'm going wrong with certain relationships in my life, where I'm looking for love from the wrong people or in the wrong way, So I think, you read a lot. I read a lot about, inner child, stuff, like everyone's healing from, their inner child wounds and what they've been through. So when you think about that like everyone has a past which they're dealing with, and they're constantly, that's why it's also better to be more understanding and atcepting when you come across people who are, a certain way, or you can understand why is this person like that. And then at the end of the day, we're all dealing with our own problems.
Exactly.
There was another song which I wanted to put on the album, which maybe I'll put on a deluxe version, which is called United by Drip, where it's instead of united by just like drip, it was about tears.
Okay.
That even as a man, as men, we're always told not to cry.
Yeah.
And
but in the alone time, we're all united.
Yeah, we're all like, everyone cries at some point. Maybe you're alone, or you're hurt, physically hurt, or emotionally hurt. You cry, like everyone cries.
Yeah.
And I think we don't realize how therapeutic crying is. Actually,
exactly. Yeah. Today you're crying, tomorrow it heals you.
It heals you, and you're actually letting out this energy which is like held in. So, songs like that where I think I go too conceptual, and I'm like, oh, it feels so good that I've written this, and there's so many nice references, and it hits a spot for me. But I'm like, oh, is the audience ready for it yet? Which maybe in small ways, having a Dorwin John on a track where he can express it in Hindi and I can express it in English is a way of a little bit spoon feeding the audience. I'm not saying the audience is dumb. I'm just saying the audience is kind of not
with like type of the audience you're catering to. It just makes a proper bridge.
It makes a bridge, and I salute guys like Krishna and a lot of Divine, Raftar, lyrical guys who people go break down their lyrics. There's so much layers to all their lyrics, and all of what we do. Every rapper has layers. Even the more mumble guys in the US or even here, there are layers to all of
obviously,
our lyrics.
like I would say rapper gotta have layers, because what you guys can do is express something in various ways, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
that means definitely you got. So like you mentioned about Gully Gang, and almost throughout your career in India, you've been with Gully Gang. So tell me your relationship with them, how it's helped you grow, and with Divine.
Yeah, like I truly respect someone like Divine, who's been a pioneer in this game, who's pushed for lyricism, for hip hop in general, the culture, and meeting him in the early days when I was here was like it's so inspiring to see his come up and journey, and then joining his movement in 2019 was like an unreal experience, like having that camaraderie with other artists who are have similar visions as you. Obviously I don't share the same upbringing in terms of a lot of the guys on the label. Like I've lived all over the world, but I think one thing that united us was like our love for hip hop, and we share a similar dream. We share a similar dream of having our music heard by the world, and conquering stages, and expressing ourselves via rap, and holding a mic that empowers other people as well. Like I always see Divine always empowering other people, which I really respect. And it was it's been an incredible journey with them, and I've learned a lot being in a format where you're with other artists, you're growing with them, even seeing Divine work on his albums, and seeing his conceptually, not just about the matter of the music. It's about packaging, it's about the rollout, the way people perceive the music, the way the videos are made. Guys like JD and all the creatives who are a part of Gully Gang is not just like a label or a management. There's like, it's like a whole culture setting. Like there's so many different creatives and managers and business heads that are working towards a vision. So I'm currently building my own team, doing things more independently. This album is on my own label, worldwide. So just learning off those experiences and kind of taking it in stride, that the same way Divine had to kind of go from a Sony and go do his own thing, or and like I think as an artist, at some point you want to go build your own vision. And I think with Gully Gang it's always family. And I have Stunner Beats on the album, who's a Gully Gang hit maker. Like he's a hit maker at Gully Gang. And Samohit as well, who I was someone I've seen grown, like from being a part of Avruti to being more of a solo artist now. The songs we have together are like insane. And just in general, got a lot of love for every artist on the label, specifically Divine. He's done a lot for our culture. He deserves his flowers, and where he is today.
So what are your plans for the near future? What's next now?
Yeah, we're selling merch, know what I'm saying? So hit up the merch store, shout out Creative Ideas, helping with the merch. A lot of things. I'm planning a tour, doing a lot of collabs with brands that I really love, whether it's in the alcohol space, keeping the confident vibe, and but also just in general for music videos and tours. Got a lot of stuff planned, and even within like the food space and the fashion space, kind of dabbling in different areas where I want to express myself. But I'm glad that the album is out, so that I can kind of use that as the the vessel to do that.
Move ahead,
Yeah.
And so what would anything you would like to tell the new guys starting off in hip hop, or your viewers, anything?
Yeah, work hard. Work hard. This shit ain't easy, but I think really love what you do. Like I think if someone's trying to get into the game, whether you're an artist, rapper, musician, producer, I think people don't realize how much time is actually spent like sitting alone in a room and just working on your skills. Like you can be out networking, performing on stage, but the time you sit at home, you know, working on your stuff, is where all that happens. And I think people see the glam and the shine, but they don't see the grind. So focus on that, and then I think everything else will come when it's your time. Yeah.
So perfect. Any shout outs?
Shout out to Abhijay Sharma on the rope. Shout out to MQ, who helped me roll out this album. A shout out to this agency as well, who also Prachi and her team for helping me. And shout out to God. Shout out to my fam, and shout out to myself, yo. We're just being able to put this out, and gotta do this alone and not feel lonely. But I have a great support system which has been helping, which I appreciate. And yeah.
Perfect, man.
Last one, shout out to my ex also. I appreciate you. Know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It was a great conversation.
Thank you, brother.
I enjoyed
appreciate
it
you,
a lot.
Man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.